Hi, today I'm talking about Princess Diana, who died on the 31st of August 1997 at the age of 36. Diana is related to King Charles II through one of his illegitimate offspring, Charles Lennox, 1st Duke of Richmond, who he had with one of his mistresses, Duchess of Portsmouth. Camilla is also a descendant of Charles Lennox. In 1508, John Spencer purchased Althorp House and several hundred acres of farmland. It has been the home of the Spencer family ever since. He made his fortune in the wool market, trading livestock, and the meat market. In 1519, Henry VIII knighted him. In 1601, Sir Robert Spencer was created Baron Spencer, having bought the peerage for £3,000 from James I, who was also James VI of Scotland. Later, another John Spencer acquired the title Earl Spencer from George III in 1765. The Spencer family have always been very close to the royal family. When Queen Anne died without an heir in 1714, the Spencers, along with other influential families, were behind the importing of the man who became George I from Germany. George I was Anne's second cousin. Diana's father, 8th Earl Spencer, served as a captain in the Royal Scots Greys, a regiment in the British Army. He served as an equerry to King George VI and the present Queen. Her mother's family were also interwoven with the royal family. Here I am at Althorp in 2001, aged 29. Her great-grandmother, Frances Ellen Work, was a daughter of an American stockbroker. When he died in 1911, he left an estate of $15 million. Frances married 3rd Baron Fermoy. They had 4 children. Their son, Maurice, Diana's grandfather, was the 4th Baron Fermoy. He settled in Norfolk and became friends with King George VI. Maurice's wife, Ruth, Lady Fermoy, was very good friends with Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. She was one of her ladies-in-waiting. When they had children, the King and Queen invited them to take the lease on Park House, which is in the grounds of Sandringham House, the royal family's country seat in Norfolk. Later it passed to their daughter, Frances Roche, Diana's mother. Diana grew up in Park House and regularly played with Prince Andrew and Prince Edward when they were children. When her father became the 8th Earl Spencer in 1975, he inherited Althorp House in Northamptonshire. Diana was 14 when she became Lady Diana Spencer. Frances Ellen Work is the great-great-grandmother of Princes William and Harry, and she is also the great-great-grandmother of the American actor Oliver Platt. Frances's daughter, Cynthia Roche, is Oliver Platt's great-grandmother. When Diana was at her boarding school, West Heath, from about the age of 14 years old, her idol was Prince Charles, and she had a picture of him on her wall. In 1977, Prince Charles dated Diana's sister, Lady Sarah Spencer. In November 1977, Charles was invited to a shooting event at Althorp. This is the first time Diana consciously remembers meeting him. She was 16 years old. Charles found her jolly and bouncy. Sarah and Charles went on a skiing holiday to Cloisters in Switzerland. Sarah had a conversation with the press. When she was asked if she would marry Charles, she replied that when she did marry, it would be for love, and that it didn't matter whether the man was a prince or a dustman. Just talking about Charles to the press was enough to end the romance. Diana left school. She went to finishing school in Switzerland, which she hated. She did a cookery course. And when she was 18, she went on a skiing holiday to the French Alps. She told friends that she was going to marry Prince Charles, and when they asked what the attraction was, she said, "He's the only man on the planet who is not allowed to divorce me." For her 18th birthday, her mother wanted to buy her a flat. Sarah Spencer was working for Savills estate agents, and she found Diana a £50,000 flat, 60 Coleherne Court. The same flat was sold in 2012 for £1,870,000. She lived with 3 flatmates, Carolyn Pride, Virginia Pittman and Anne Bolton. Carolyn was an old school friend and is Prince Harry's godmother. She later married party organiser William Bartholomew and had 2 children. Diana remained the closest to her. Virginia Pittman married a banker, Henry Clark, and had 2 children. Anne Bolton married Noel Hill, a son of Prince Charles's former polo coach. They had 2 children and live on a 40,000-acre cattle station in Queensland, Australia. The flat had 3 bedrooms. Caroline and Virginia shared a bedroom. Diana put a sign on her bedroom door that read Chief Chick because she was the landlady and the owner of the flat. She charged her flatmates £18 a week in rent. Her other sister, Lady Jane Spencer, found her a job at the Young England Kindergarten in Pimlico, where she worked for 3 days a week, and then for 2 days a week she worked as a nanny looking after American businesswoman Mary Robinson's son, Patrick, and she cleaned her sister Sarah's flat for £1 an hour. She lived at Coleherne Court from 1979 until the night before her engagement to Prince Charles was officially announced on the 24th of February 1981. She then moved into the Queen Mother's house, Clarence House. After Diana got engaged, Diana's mother sold the flat to Japanese buyers for £100,000, double what she had paid for it. On the 27th of August 1979, Lord Louis Mountbatten, Charles's great-uncle, was killed in an IRA bomb attack. He would go to his summer house every year, Classiebourne Castle in Mullockmore, a small seaside village in County Sligo, Ireland, which is 12 miles from the border with Northern Ireland. IRA member Thomas McMahon slipped onto the unguarded boat the night before and placed the bomb. Louis was 79 years old. Louis's daughter Patricia's mother-in-law also died, and she was 83. Patricia's son Nicholas, who was a twin, died. He was only 14 years old. A local deckhand, Paul Maxwell, also died. He was only 15 years old. Thomas McMahon was sentenced to life imprisonment, but was released in 1998 under the terms of the Good Friday Agreement. Diana met Charles again in July 1980 at a weekend party at Petworth in West Sussex. Diana sat next to Charles on a bale of hay during a barbecue. She said she had watched the televised funeral of Lord Mountbatten, and she could feel Charles's loneliness and his need for someone to care for him. Louis Mountbatten was like a father to Charles, and he gave him advice. He told him that when he was around 30 years old, he should settle down with an aristocratic girl, about 10 years younger, and a girl who knows the royal scene. So when Diana mentioned Mountbatten's name, Charles saw his great-uncle's ideal bride. Charles proposed on the 6th of February 1981. They had only been around 7 months of courtship. Diana said they only met 13 times in total before they got engaged. The wedding was at St Paul's Cathedral on the 29th of July 1981. 750 million people watched it on TV. And this is their wedding cake. Diana wanted to outdo all the other previous royal brides, and so she had the longest bridal train. It was 25 feet or 7.6 metres long. Her wedding dress cost £151,000 and was designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel. It was made from ivy silk taffeta and antique lace. It had 10,000 pearls on it. The lace used to trim it had belonged to Queen Mary, King George V's wife. Diana was the first royal bride to omit the word obey from her wedding vows. Kate did the same thing when she married Prince William in 2011. William was born on the 21st of June 1982 and Harry was born on the 15th of September 1984. If you get a tube train to Gloucester Road tube station, take the right-hand side exit, and opposite the tree is the Bailey's Hotel. So outside Gloucester Road station, you'll see Bailey's Hotel, and next to Bailey's is the Bombay Brasserie. Diana would regularly sneak out of Kensington Palace in disguise wearing a dark wig. One night, Cleo Rocos, an actress in the Kenny Everett video show, Diana, Kenny Everett and Freddie Mercury went to Bombay Brasserie and they drank peach bellinis, Diana's favourite drink. A peach bellini is peach puree and champagne or sparkling wine. Afterwards they went to Kenny's flat and continued drinking. Diana, Kenny and Freddie were dancing around the lounge to the Gypsy Kings, waving Kenny's feather dusters in the air. If you carry on up Gloucester Road from the station, you'll come to this church, St Stephen's Church, which is where the poet T.S. Eliot worshipped. St Stephen's Church is an Anglican church which was built in 1867. The poet T.S. Eliot was a church warden here for 25 years. He is classed as one of the 20th century's major poets. Two of his famous poems are The Waste Land and The Hollow Men. He was born in St Louis, Missouri. He moved to England in 1914 at the age of 25, and in 1927 he took up British citizenship. If you carry on up Gloucester Road, you'll get to Mario. So beautiful, isn't it? To Mario Restaurant in Gloucester Road. Mario was one of two founders of Pizza Express, which started in 1965. The other founder was Peter Boizod. They had a tiny room in Wardour Street in Soho, London. They only had two tables made from metal bases of two Singer sewing machines, topped with a panel of cheap wood, covered with a red vinyl cloth. Mario decided he wanted to open his own restaurant in 1965. The building is Venetian and Gothic architecture and is over 100 years old. Lots of the ingredients are directly sourced from Naples. Princess Diana dined here, and she would bring Prince William and Prince Harry here for lunch. Lots of people have dined here. Dustin Hoffman, Ben Stiller, Penelope Cruz, Madonna, Eric Clapton. Renée Zellweger ate here to gain 20 pounds or 1.4 stone to play Bridget Jones in Bridget Jones's Diary, as she was staying in a flat nearby. Apparently she dined here 5 times a week. She had the same meal, pizza, garlic bread and beer. There is a Pizza Diana on the weekend menu, made with 4 different cheeses and an artichoke heart. Opposite to Mario is Victoria Grove. Walk down Victoria Grove for approximately 2 minutes and you will see another restaurant called Launceston Place on the left. Launceston Place Restaurant, Launceston Place. This award-winning restaurant for its food and wine opened in 1986. It was one of Diana's favourite restaurants because it has a rambling layout with small rooms, so maybe she felt she could hide from prying eyes. They named a cheese soufflé in her honour because she was a regular visitor and cheese soufflé was one of her favourite dishes. It was called Soufflé Diana. It is no longer on the menu. Continue walking in the same direction along St Albans Grove, past Richmond University. Turn right at Kensington Court Place. Walk along Kensington Court Place. On the right hand side you will walk past Kensington Court Gardens. Kensington Court Gardens. The poet T.S. Eliot lived and died here. There is a blue plaque on the wall of the building. Cross over to Thackeray Street on the left and walk along. On the left hand side you will see Esmond Court. So we go down this way, Thackeray Street, which is here. It's where Joan Sims lived at the end of her life. Blue plaque is on the wall. Flat 1, Esmond Court, Thackeray Street. The actress Joan Sims lived here in her later years. It was where she was living when she died. She is best known for her carry-on films. She was in 24 out of the 30 films made. There is a blue plaque on the wall of the building. Turn right at Kensington Square. Carry on in the same direction along Young Street and on the left you will see Whole Foods Market. Whole Foods Market, the corner of Young Street and Kensington High Street. This is where Barker's department store used to be. Barker's department store. Diana shopped here. It closed in 2006 after 135 years of trading. Further down on the left-hand side of Kensington High Street is Marks and Spencer's. Diana was a fan of Marks and Spencer's. Apparently she liked their muffins and freshly baked bread for her bacon sandwiches. She would buy McCain's chips and burgers for Princes William and Harry. Also further down on the right-hand side of Kensington High Street is McDonald's. This is the McDonald's she would take Prince William and Prince Harry in for a Happy Meal. Turn right at the corner, walk up Kensington High Street to the traffic lights and cross over the road. Turn left and walk down Kensington High Street. You'll be able to see the beautiful Art Deco building of Barker's department store. Cross over Kensington Church Street and you'll see Kensington Flower Corner. That's Kensington Flower Shop and St Mary's Abbot Church. Kensington Flower Corner, Kensington High Street. The flower stall has been in the same family since the 1870s. Princess Diana bought flowers here. When it was her funeral on the 6th of September 1997, lots of people bought flowers here to place them outside Kensington Palace. Opposite Kensington Flower Corner is St Mary Abbot's Church. St Mary Abbot's Church, Kensington Church Street. The present structure of the church was built in 1872. Diana started coming to the church to speak to Father Frank Jelly, who was the minister here, for discussions about God and heaven a few months before she died. Notable parishioners are former Prime Minister David Cameron, crime writer P.D. James, and author Beatrix Potter. You'll now be walking for at least 15 minutes. Walk up Kensington Church Street with the church on your left. Cross over the road to continue walking in the same direction and walk up Vicarage Gate. Continue walking straight ahead and cross over the road to walk up Brunswick Gardens. Brunswick Gardens. So we're going to carry on up here. At the end of Brunswick Gardens, cross over the road, turn left, walk up Palace Gardens Terrace, and turn right, cross the road, turn right, walk along and you will see Cafe Diana on the left. Cafe Diana, 5 Wellington Terrace. The owner, Abdul, decided in 1989 to dedicate his new cafe to Diana. He had seen her coming out of the gates opposite in her car when he was trying to think of a name for his cafe. 3 or 4 days after the new name was up, she called in to the cafe. She would bring William and Harry here for breakfast, and they would have a cooked breakfast. Diana would have a cappuccino and a cake or some croissants. Sometimes she would have a cooked breakfast too. Her typical breakfast was a weak coffee, pink grapefruit sometimes, muesli and toast. Diana gave Abdul a signed photo of herself after he asked for one to go up on the wall. A month before she died, she came in and had a cappuccino. Continue walking in the same direction with the cafe on the left. Cross over the road, turn left and walk past the Russian Embassy, which is on the right-hand side. Continue walking in the same direction along Bayswater Road. You'll see Queensway Tube Station, which is closed on the left-hand side of the road. Enter Kensington Palace Gardens on the right-hand side via the path before you reach the public toilets. The path is called Broadwalk. Walk up the path. On the right-hand side is the Queen Victoria Memorial. Princess Louise, Duchess of Argyll, designed this memorial in 1893. The marble statue of Queen Victoria shows her mother in her coronation robes in 1837 at the age of 18. Continue walking past the memorial. You'll see a black signpost. Turn right and walk along the path called Studio Walk and walk to the gates of Kensington Palace. Kensington Palace. Kensington Palace has been a residence of the royal family since the 17th century. It houses a number of royals. The residences are officially called apartments, but are really like grand terrace houses. The Duke and Duchess of Gloucester lived in apartment 1. The Duke is the Queen's cousin and grandson of George V and Queen Mary. His full title is Prince Richard, Duke of Gloucester. They downsized because their children have left home and have moved into the old stables which is within the grounds of the palace. William and Kate were living in apartment 1A. It is a 22-room, 4-storey building. It was formerly the home of Princess Margaret, but they're supposed to be moving to Windsor now, aren't they? Princess Diana lived in apartments 8 and 9. The 2 apartments were made into one property. Prince and Princess Michael of Kent live in apartment 10, which is a 3-storey house. Prince Michael is the Queen's cousin and grandson of George V and Queen Mary. The Duke and Duchess of Kent live in Wren Cottage. The Duke is the Queen's cousin and grandson of George V and Queen Mary. His full title is Prince Edward, Duke of Kent. Princess Eugenie and Jack Brooksbank lived in Ivy Cottage, a 3-bedroom house, but are now apparently moving into Nottingham Cottage, which is in the grounds. Kensington Palace was originally a 2-storey mansion built by Sir George Coppin in 1605. In 1619, the first Earl of Nottingham bought it, and it was known as Nottingham House. King William and Queen Mary became King and Queen in 1689. They were looking for a residence better suited for William, as he was asthmatic. They were living in Whitehall Palace near the River Thames, and the fog and floods weren't good for his health. William and Mary bought it from the 2nd Earl of Nottingham for £20,000. Sir Christopher Wren, who built St Paul's Cathedral, built an extension onto the house. Mary died of smallpox at the palace in 1694, aged 32. In 1702, William fell from a horse at Hampton Court, famous for being Henry VIII's home, and he was brought to Kensington Palace, where he died shortly afterwards from pneumonia, aged 51. Queen Victoria was born here and grew up here. William and Harry were raised here. Kensington Palace became the focus of public mourning for Diana, with over 1 million bouquets reaching 5 feet or 1.5 metres deep in places. Diana's residence was stripped bare and lay vacant for 10 years after her death. It was then divided up into 2 separate apartments again. They now house domestic staff. Turn around and go back the way you arrived. Walk back along Studio Walk, past the black signpost, and continue straight ahead along the path called Mount Walk, with the round pond on the left. Keep walking and you will eventually see the beautiful gold Prince Albert Memorial that Queen Victoria had erected after he died on the right. On the left you will see the Serpentine Gallery. On the 29th of June 1994, 14 million British television viewers watched Jonathan Dimbleby's documentary on Prince Charles. On that night, Diana wore an off-the-shoulder, figure-hugging black chiffon cocktail dress to Vanity Fair's annual fundraising event at the Serpentine Gallery. Greek designer Christina Stambolian designed the dress. It had been in her closet for years, and she thought it was too daring for a royal to wear. She wanted to look $1 million, and so she wore it that night. It became known as the Revenge Dress. Continue walking on the main path and exit the gardens. Turn right on West Carriage Drive. Walk down to the road. Don't walk along South Carriage Drive that runs along the gardens, but continue down to the main road called Kensington Road. Cross over the road and turn left and walk down Kensington Road. The gardens are on the opposite side. Continue walking in the same direction, down Knightsbridge. You'll see Hyde Park Barracks on the opposite side. Stop at Trevor Place on the right. If you look straight ahead along Knightsbridge, you will see the Harvey Nichols department store in the distance. Princess Diana would eat in the restaurant. She was a regular customer and would stock up on beauty products from the Clinique and Dior counters. She was also a fan of the Clarins beauty products. The store would close so she could browse in peace. Walk down Trevor Place, turn right up Montpellier Square, then take the first left and walk down Montpellier Street. Cross over the road, so you're walking down on the right-hand side, all the way down until you get to the main road called Brompton Road. Turn right and you'll see a crossing on the left. Cross over the road and walk down Beauchamp Place, which is opposite. Down on the left-hand side is the San Lorenzo restaurant. Harvey Nichols store down there. We're Diana shopped. I'm going to turn around here to Trevor Place, down this way. Montpellier Square, so we're going down this way. San Lorenzo Restaurant, Beecham Place. This restaurant opened in 1963 by Lorenzo and Mara Burney. In her 1995 Panorama interview with Martin Bashir, Diana admitted she had an affair with James Hewitt. They had briefly met when he played polo against Prince Charles before the wedding. Then in 1986 they met again. James was the 28-year-old captain of the Life Guards. The Life Guards is a senior regiment of the British Army and part of the Household Cavalry. Their responsibilities include performing ceremonial duties at state occasions and royal occasions. James had been in a meeting discussing the wedding of Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew. Diana had slipped into a side entrance to Buckingham Palace and met James accidentally. James was wearing a red quilted jacket, boots and spurs. Diana saw him and said, "Where are you going dressed up like a dog's dinner?" They met again at a drinks party at Buckingham Palace. He gave riding lessons, and she asked if he could help her ride again, as she hurt herself when she was a young child by falling off, and she had lost her nerve. They got together and it lasted about 5 years, 1986 to 1991. Usually when they went out to dinner it was to San Lorenzo. Carolyn Bartholomew, her old flatmate, would come along to provide a cover for the relationship, or another friend would join them so it didn't look suspicious. Diana would often order the seafood pasta and sometimes had mango for dessert. Shortly after opening in 1963, Sophia Loren was in the UK filming The Countess of Hong Kong, and she dined at the restaurant. Other famous people who have dined there are Joan Collins, the Rolling Stones, Eric Clapton, Ivana Trump, Jack Nicholson and Princess Margaret. Continue walking down Beecham Place with San Lorenzo on your left, and you'll see the Caroline Charles store on the left. Diana wore Caroline Charles designs, and Caroline started her label in 1963, aged 21. Turn right at the top of Beecham Place, walk along Brompton Road until you reach Harrods. Mohammed Al-Fayed owned Harrods. He was close to Diana's father and stepmother, Rain Spencer. Diana was a regular visitor to Harrods, and Mohammed gave generously to her favourite charities. Charles Henry Harrod established Harrods. He had different businesses, and then in 1849 he took over a shop on this site. Harrod's son, Charles Digby Harrod, built the business into a thriving retail operation, selling medicines, perfumes, stationery, fruits and vegetables. He acquired the adjoining buildings and employed 100 people by 1881. In December 1883 it burnt to the ground and a new building was built on the site. Notable customers were Oscar Wilde, Charlie Chaplin, Noel Coward, Laurence Olivier, Vivian Leigh, Sigmund Freud and the British royal family. In 1889 Charles Digby retired and sold his interest in it for £120,000. Harrods was floated on the London Stock Exchange. In 1898, Harrods debuted England's first moving staircase, an escalator. Nervous customers were offered brandy at the top to revive them after their ordeal. In 1959, the House of Fraser acquired the department store. In 1985, Mohammed Al-Fayed bought it. In 2010, Mohammed sold it to the Qatari royal family for £1.5 billion. Here's a few interesting facts. Diana's favourite colour was pink. Her favourite food was stuffed peppers and she liked chicken and fish. She very rarely ate red meat. Her favourite dessert was bread and butter pudding. Her step-grandmother was romantic novelist Barbara Cartland. She was related to Winston Churchill on her father's side. She was related to Humphrey Bogart on her mother's side. She was related to the first President of the United States, George Washington, on her father's side. This is me in 2001 at the Diana Memorial in the grounds of Althorp, near to the lake. This is opposite the island where Diana is buried at Althorp. Diana's grave. It was awful when she died, wasn't it? I was in Stringfellows nightclub in London. Where were you when you heard the news? Tell me and put it in the comments down below. Okay, so if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!